If there's a better introduction to an album, I haven't heard it. The opening of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band tells you everything you need to know. This isn't the Beatles. This is something wild, new, and fun. Paul came up with the ideas for the intro, the reprise, and the album as a whole during the Beatles' final tour in 1966. Bands with shorter names were fading, and longer names were in. Big Brother and the Holding Company, The Grateful Dead, etc. Additionally, the Beatles had decided to no longer tour and focus entirely on studio experimentation. The idea was to create an album that could effectively tour for the group without them having to physically go anywhere. There was a story that they were influenced by Elvis's car going on tour and being a huge success, and they figured, why not a record? These ideas of an alter ego band releasing an album is entirely credited to Paul. Speaking about it, John said, "Sgt. Pepper is called the first concept album, but it doesn't go anywhere. All my contributions to that album have absolutely nothing to do with the idea of Sgt. Pepper and his band. But it works because we said it worked, and that's how the album appeared. But it was not as put together as it sounds. Except for Sgt. Pepper introducing Billy Shears and the so-called Reprise, every other song could have gone on any other album." Paul would later go on to say, "I thought it would be nice to lose our identities, to submerge ourselves in a persona of a fake group. We can make up all the culture around it and collect all our heroes in one place." In recording the track, Paul would take on the guitar solo. He, John, and George would harmonize on the track, eventually leading into Ringo singing the next track with a little help from my friends. The crowd noises were taken from a comedy show and some leftover material from when they were recording A Day in the Life. As the crowd cheers for Billy Shears, it's taken from their Hollywood Bowl show. The horns were provided by James W. Buck, Neil Sanders, Tony Randall, and John Burden. The reprise features more or less the same structure, but with a more rock and roll feel. Neil Aspinall said, "At the end of every Beatles show, Paul used to say, 'It's time to go, we're going to bed, and this is our last number.' Then they would play the last number and leave. Just then Mal went to the bathroom, and I said to Paul, 'Why don't you have Sgt. Pepper as the compare to this album?' He comes on at the beginning of the show and introduces the band, and at the end, he closes it." A bit later, Paul told John about it in the studio, and John came up to me and said, "Nobody likes a smart arse, Neil." That's when I knew John liked it, and it would happen. The track would then crossfade into A Day in the Life. This would also be used as the penultimate track on Love. You can hear John say bye during the opening of the track. There has been some debate as to whether or not there was to be more of Sgt. Pepper on the album, and that it was eventually dropped. It's hard to say. If you look close enough at anything, you'll start to see, or imagine, clues of what you're looking for. I always felt the album was a circus or vaudeville with various acts. Sgt. Pepper simply introduces and closes the show. That said, growing up, these were my favorite pieces on the record. I still get goosebumps when I hear them. It's just so theatrical and grand. I absolutely love it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. The content on this channel is made possible from viewers like you. Help the channel grow by supporting me on Ko-fi, which you can find a link to below. You can also help by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.